They are, despite the U.S. Supreme Court refusing to return an illegally deported man. I mean, they said it was a mistake, but they said, no, it's not a right to bring him back. We're not doing that. She went down there, Christina, with her $50,000 watch and watched men who were stripped of their dignity and a lot of their clothing. But here's the update for you. The DOJ argues courts have no authority to direct Trump to bring home the Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador, the one place he was not supposed to go to. What about due process? Trump administration insisted Sunday that it has no legal obligation to arrange for the return of a Maryland man illegally deported from the United States. They argue that a Supreme Court ruling last week only requires officials to admit him into the country if he makes it back from a high security prison in El Salvador. Politico filling in the details. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You have some nerve. They do. Politico reporters report that the DOJ lawyers told a federal judge that they don't interpret the Supreme Court's Thursday ruling that the administration facilitate Kilmar Abrego Garcia's release as obligating the administration to do anything more than adjust his immigration status to admit him if El Salvador's government chooses to release him. Then attorneys with the Department of Justice filed a brief on Sunday arguing that a federal court has no authority to direct President Donald Trump or his administration in bringing home wrongly deported man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and should reject a request filed on his behalf by attorneys last week. Mediaite with more reporting. With El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele set to meet with President Donald Trump Monday, DOJ attorneys argued the courts have no power to require the administration to engage with the Salvadoran government to reach a diplomatic solution. They contend such a potential order would amount to a violation of the separation of powers and an intrusion into what they allege is unfettered presidential power to conduct foreign relations. They're just making it up as they go. I mean, you had started this whole thing in motion, and now you're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it, hands off. Okay, if you say so. The administration's position suggesting officials do not view the Supreme Court's order as compelling them to seek Abrego Garcia's return. Salvadoran native entered the country illegally around 2011, had been living in Maryland. Trump administration has admitted it deported him to El Salvador in violation of a 2019 immigration court order barring his deportation to that country. Though Abrego Garcia was denied asylum, a judge found he could not be sent to his home country because of a legitimate fear of persecution by a local gang. Was it a mistake, really? State Department official Michael Kozak filed an update over the weekend on Abrego Garcia's status, writing that it is his understanding, quote, based on official reporting from our embassy in San Salvador, that Abrego Garcia is currently being held in the terrorism confinement center in El Salvador. He is alive and secure in that facility, Kozak said. He is detained pursuant to the sovereign domestic authority of El Salvador. So it falls short, in my view, of proof of life. Are we supposed to trust what they tell us? That they say, based on what I've been told, believe something or another in another country where we shipped him off to? I mean, we can only hope, but there's no, if you're this man's family, there's no assurance that anything they're being told is true. Give you more. Garcia is being held at the notorious Secot prison in El Salvador, along with many other deportees, as well as with members of vicious drug gangs whose potential persecution of Garcia was the basis for the court granting him the legal permission to remain in the United States in the first place. Well, there is yet another update. A judge has also now ruled Colombia activist Mahmoud Khalil can be deported. We'll remind you about him. Last month, Mahmoud Khalil, recent Columbia University graduate student who was involved in pro-Palestinian activism during campus protests last year, was arrested at his apartment and sent to Louisiana for possible deportation, despite being a permanent resident. Immigration judge ruled Friday that Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil can be deported on grounds that he threatens foreign policy, as alleged by the Trump administration. Stunning move may have repercussions on hundreds of other international students who have been targeted by the administration. The Louisiana judge has given Khalil's lawyers a deadline of April 23rd to file applications for relief to stop his deportation. The judge said if they failed to make the deadline, she would file an order of removal to either Syria or Algeria. So this young man, Mahmoud Khalil, knows it and spoke out through representatives saying, in court, really, I'm in Louisiana, particularly because you knew what you were doing when you yanked me from my apartment and sent me to this more amenable southern state, or federal court, but I think we all know what's going on here. Maz, it's just stunning to me. We now have the El Salvador president basically saying, what can I do? I can't send him back. Am I supposed to smuggle him back to America? Talking about the Maryland father who was snatched away to CCOT, the one place, El Salvador, he was not supposed to return. He's a citizen, and I keep terrorists locked up. It's just, this is scary, and I think it's scary for all of us. I'm not trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's in CCOT with their head shaved and stripped down and what else may be going on there. But my gut tells me a slim chance we'll ever get him back here.
Yeah, you are right. I have Childish Gambino's "This Is America" going round and round in my head right now. This is America. I mean, what happened? First of all, Harry Truman famously said the buck stops here. In the case of that first gentleman who's been deported to El Salvador, apparently the buck doesn't stop anywhere. The buck is wherever he's got. It's like a board game with these guys. They're like, well, if he can work his way back up, then we'll let him in. Even though it was our mistake to put him out, but we'll let him in, but he's got to get up here. So they are playing this game that is, to them, a game, but to this gentleman who's stuck in that maximum security prison in El Salvador is not a game. I mean, we've all seen images of that prison. Famously, they make the prisoners sit there quietly without speaking for 24 hours, all day long. Mentally, it's got to have an effect. Who knows if his life is in danger, as you said earlier. And the fact is, if this man were a white man, we'd probably be seeing a different approach right now. The fact that he's a person of color, I think, makes it easier for these people to pile on and say, well, he came here illegally, but then he applied for political asylum, which is legal. And of course, the judge, even though the judge in 2019 said that he did not give him political asylum, he said legal, you cannot deport him because his life is in danger. And so what happened to America? America used to be the land where people could flee danger and come here and make a better life for themselves. This man has 3 children here. He's got his wife. I believe they're all citizens. And for us to not be able to say, hey, we made a mistake, let's bring the guy back. When the airlines have flight delays and they need to get you somewhere, they figure it out. They go, okay, I'm going to get you. I'll get you through Denver to go to New York. We'll get you going. How easy would it be to go over and go, this is the guy, come on out. Let's take you back to your family. And now let's do some court proceedings. If you really feel the guy has done something illegal, I don't think he has. If there's actually a case, then let's have some proceedings. And so we're in this situation where, again, this is America. And they're disappearing people off the streets. We saw that video of the PhD student at Tufts University where ICE showed up with their faces covered and they arrested her. And I posted that on my Instagram stories page. I have followers from Iran and they were replying. They were saying, wait a minute, this is in America? Because this happens in Iran, but we've never seen it happen in America. And so it is happening in America. And then that takes us to the Mahmoud Khalil case, where in Iran, when the authorities show up and they arrest you, they say you said or did something against God, against Islam. They use this vague law to arrest people and put them in political prison. Now in America, they're saying you did something against what Marco Rubio finds to be a violation that's affecting our foreign policy. And how random is that? I mean, at what point? Because the fact is, again, they have not given him his due process. They took him from New York to Louisiana, as he said, to get a judge that's sympathetic to the right and to deporting him. But they haven't shown anything. The guy protested the war in Gaza. And so it's like, it's as if during the Vietnam War, if people were protesting the Vietnam War and happened to be legal residents, we were deporting them because we don't want to hear it. So we are shutting down free speech. So whether you're pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or pro-whatever, you should be very, very bothered by this because they're saying we can say what we don't want you to say and say it's dangerous to our foreign policy and deport you. You know, a while back, I believe it was in the Clinton administration, there was a Mexican citizen who'd come to America who I think had some sort of drug-related or criminal records, and the Mexican government had wanted him. And at that point, they used this law where they said, well, if we let him stay here, it's going to be detrimental to our diplomatic relationship with Mexico. And they were able to prove that there was a situation there, and they sent him back to Mexico. But in this case, they're saying, oh, you protested against Israel, or against the war in Gaza, I should say, and so we're going to boot you. And they're doing that, he said, Marco Rubio said he's doing it to hundreds and hundreds of people. So no matter where you stand on these issues, you should be very worried. Because originally, when the administration, when he was running for president, he said criminals only. Then he said, okay, criminals and other undocumenteds. Now they're saying green card holders. At what point are they going to come in and go, you know what? Hey, you know what? We want to get rid of birthright citizenship. They're going to go back and retroactively take away your citizenship and say, we don't like the way you looked at that guy, or we don't like the way that you said, made fun of Donald Trump. Yeah. So you're out. Yeah. John Oliver was a citizen of England. Now he's a citizen of America. They might go back and say, we're going to take away your citizenship. You're criticizing Trump. You're out.
Sure. He hates the late night. He can't stand you comedians, okay? Yeah. But you are so right. And in the case of, Abrego Garcia, sometimes they don't even bother to make up a lie. Something about, it's a secret, national security, won't even tell the judge, who's used to taking these matters, under seal. Nope, not gonna do any of that. And this mealy mouth, flimsy, not worth do we pay for their robes at the Supreme Court? I didn't want to pay for the dry cleaning, nothing. They can hand wash them and hang them out to dry for all I care. Well, if you could facilitate, what are you talking about? Bring him back. You are so afraid of criticizing Donald Trump that you're deliberately doing this word salad knowing that he's going to have a feast on it, okay? Well, they didn't say that. They're actually claiming Bondi, Marco. He is little Marco as far as I'm concerned. That's a name that Trump got right. No spine, out for self. And you know what? Being part of this administration is not going to do for you what you think it is, Marco Rubio. Doesn't make you look presidential at all. Actually makes you look like a child. While you sit there and the Ukrainian president and everybody else is berated and bullied and Putin is propped up, that's what it makes you look like. But these people are basically saying, we won the Supreme Court 9-0. It's like, we report what they said, as mealy mouth as it is. And then they say, oh, they're telling us we don't need to bring them back. And that's where we stand. Thank you. Nothing to see here. Stephen Miller yelling at Fox News host who's just report, God forbid, once in a while they do report, just this is breaking news. I'll give you the last word, but I'll say it again. There's no reason to bring this guy back. There's no reason to give due process to Mahmoud down in Louisiana. If you had all this evidence, you're bullies. You would love to line him up, have press conference. Look what he did, that, what do they call the necklace thing? The gangs are accused of doing, and sometimes the mafia did it too. Oh, it's terrible. You would want to say it all, but they don't want him talking either. Hey, that Maryland man's not coming back.
Yeah, the fact is, this is their America, and
Wow.
and the cruelty is the point. They are putting a chilling effect on people. You think other students who are smart and want to get their PhDs or want to get their masters or whatever it is are going to apply to American universities now? No. These students are going to go to Canada. They're going to go to Europe. They're not going to come to America because they see what happens. This is a chilling effect. They're trying to tell people from those southern countries in Central America, South America, don't come to the US because even if you don't commit a crime, we're going to throw you in a prison in El Salvador, where, by the way, that president got paid money and he also is, cocky and taunting the system. And now he's got a meeting at the White House. Since when have the American presidents been having high-level meetings with El Salvadoran presidents?
Maz, it was a love fest. You understand? I thought Trump was going to reach out and pinch his cheeks. He bragged about how young he was and how great he was. And then Bukele said, oh, and by the way, here's my female cabinet. And don't worry, Mr. President, no DEI here. They just happen to be good at their jobs. And it looked like his suit was, some kind of custom number, where I guess they measure even, every little bit. He looked sharp. And it was just sick as he sat there giving the lines. And Trump sat there telling off the reporters, telling how dumb they are and how low rated. And finally, Caitlin Collins yelled out, but if he says it's up to you, are you going to send it? Oh, why would I do that? I'm not going to smuggle him back. I can't do that. It was just, what we saw was, what do you call it? La Cosa Nostra? How do I say it?
La Cosa Nostra, yeah.
Right. This was two family heads saying, now let's eat, okay? Let's eat.